Welcome back to the Sure Sales Group Show, episode 59, and today I'm here with Mark Owens, a real estate investor who you should listen to. Here on the show, we talk about real estate, sales, negotiation, marketing, entrepreneurship, buying, selling, renting, investing, and what it's taken us to grow from 2 employees to 20, from 30 million in sales to 130 million in sales in the last few years. Thanks for watching. Mark, thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate you meeting me here at the office.
Thanks for the invite.
So I got encouraged to meet with Mark, and we met about a month ago, and Mark shared a lot with me about real estate investing and what he's got going on. Why don't you give the audience a little bit of your background and so we can get to know you better?
Okay. First, my name is Mark Owens. Grew up in Baltimore City, the Baltimore area. I started my real estate investing career February 2002, if you can believe it. Before that, I was in the IT field, and I was making a bunch of money in that. Lost a bunch of money in the stock market during the dot-com crash around 2000. Needed another place to park my money. And I'd always had an interest in real estate, but I never had anything push me, and that was the push. So February 2002, I bought my first 3-unit property on Falls Road in Hamden. That's how it all got started.
And you're originally from the Hamden area?
Grew up in the Hamden area, yep, before it was cool, yep.
So fast forward to now, I'm networking in the real estate community. It's obviously what we at Sure Sales Group do for a living. And multiple people said, you need to talk to Mark Owens. He has over 100 rental properties, and he's mentoring people, and he speaks on the topic. I'm intrigued, so I started stalking him in a professional way and say, Mark, we need to get together. I'd love to talk to you about real estate investing as I'm trying to expand my career for passive income. Obviously, I'm a realtor, but I'm also a real estate investor. Mm-hmm. So you got the push. How'd you snowball this into this kind of empire you built?
You know, it was one house at a time. I talk to people now on a regular basis, especially like clients, and they're like, you know, I want to get 10 houses this year or 20 units next year. And the thing for me that's worked the best is just focus on the next deal, whatever that is. When I first started, I just thought, okay, I got one, now I want to get another one, and I got that, and I want to get another one. I didn't put my focus on just like some fictitious or fixed number of units. What I've seen happen in the past with other people that do that are then you start to focus more on the goal than on a good deal, and you wind up buying a lot of deals that aren't the best deals for you. So for me, what worked best was to just focus on the next goal and, you know, the next deal. When I first started, let me back up a little bit.
Sure.
When I first started in this stuff, I was a, how do I put this? I was a 1099 contract IT trainer. I was teaching in computer classes in colleges all over Maryland and Pennsylvania, and I was getting paid really well. But what was going to happen is if I lost my job, you know, because I said something like really inappropriate, or I got in a car accident or sick or something like that, then there's no money coming in. And so I thought that I need to find a kind of a hedge against my work income, so in the event that something happens and I can't work, that money keeps coming in. Because at the time my wife wasn't working. We just had a son, and she wasn't working for a couple of years, and she went back to school, so I was the only breadwinner in the house. And so when I first started buying properties, the goal was I want to get enough properties coming in so that in the event I'm not working, there's no income, that at least there's enough income coming in off the rentals to just pay our bare necessities, you know, like ramen noodles, tuna fish, pay the rent, pay the cable bill or the mortgage, and that was it. And then after I hit that goal, I thought, man, I could just like keep going. Maybe I should just keep doing this. And I kept buying more, and then I could see like, man, if I keep going, then in a couple more years, I'm going to actually be able to like walk away from this 1099 stuff where I've got to wear, you know, like tuck my shirt in like this and all that stuff, and like just do whatever the hell I want. And so I just kept doing it. And I guess it was about 4 years into it, I was able to walk away from my job where I was making $150,000 a year as an IT guy in 2005, and just devote myself full time to the real estate thing. So that's kind of like the way that it happened.
So I want to get some stats, but first I think people can resonate with that. Like, hey, what if I lose my job? Oh my God, I have a family now. Anything can happen. I mean, shit happens out there in the real world. So I appreciate you telling that story, because it's really tough to walk away from something that's really good for something that's great. So before I dive a little bit more into that, how many units do you have right now?
It's about 100 units. A mix of apartments that are, you know, apartment buildings, commercial space, some little garages that you can count or not count. And then I also have a business partner where I have like another 14, 15, 16 units.
So that's 100 in theory, 100 streams of income. Mm-hmm. When these things are occupied, there's positive cash flow on every one of those.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the only way to buy.
So you kind of hit how'd you get started and why real estate. But from a guy who owns 100 units, whether it's a 10-unit apartment building here, 30 individual homes here, some garages there, how were you confident enough to keep buying? That am I doing the right thing? Is this too risky?
That's a very good question. I've been asked the same question in under different circumstances, and it kind of boils down to this. In order to be successful in real estate, you need two things. You need to have knowledge and you need to have balls. And if you just have the knowledge and the balls, you'll have analysis paralysis and you'll never do anything. You'll just sit around, doing spreadsheet after spreadsheet, looking at house after house and getting on everybody's nerves. And if you've got balls and no knowledge, you're going to go out and buy something stupid. And if you don't have either one, then you're not watching this video. You're like, you're making somebody else rich. You're working to fulfill somebody else's dream. In order to be successful in this, you need both. When I first started, I had a little bit of both. Had some knowledge, some balls, and I did my first one with the thought that if this thing goes bad and it gets like really ugly and really stupid, the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to lose $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, and then I just go back to working, making somebody else rich. So my thoughts were, I'm going to try it. And I tried it, and I learned from it, so I got more knowledge. The more knowledge I got, the bigger my balls got. And then, I did another deal, and another deal, and another deal, and another deal. And when I first started, I was buying turnkey stuff, because turnkey doesn't require as much guts or knowledge. If people are already living there, they're already mailing.
Yeah, you're not a builder. It's not like you can just flip a kitchen. You're an IT guy.
I was an IT guy. Yeah, there were good deals that I passed up because I didn't want to cut the trim.
You didn't have the knowledge.
Or the skills or the tools or the time and all that other stuff. And then as time went on, I started to realize that if I bought houses that were vacant, that needed just paint and carpet, rehabs, that I could get a lot more equity and a higher cash flow. And so I kind of worked my way into it. I took on bigger projects. Bigger at the time was like paint and carpet. That was a big deal to me at the time. But as I got comfortable with that, then I moved on to one where, okay, it needs a new kitchen and it needs a new furnace. And this, okay, it needs a kitchen, bathroom, and all the plumbing replaced. And I just kind of scaled up my inventory as I scaled up my knowledge. And again, the more knowledge that I got, the more guts that I had to move on to the next bigger deal.
Right. I gave Mark full permission, balls, guts, it's all interchangeable. We met at the Broadway Diner in Dundalk, and we just had a firecracker of a conversation. I said, you got to please come into my office and say that on camera. So that all makes a lot of sense. Now, there's a lot of people who maybe they own their home. They're not looking at that as an investment property. I didn't want to pay rent. My parents said it was a good idea to buy a house. I'm going to stick around locally. It made sense to buy. They bought a house. And they think, maybe I should buy more of these. That's a different animal. Mm-hmm. Buying your primary residence versus buying something, you're using things like equity, cash flow. Mm-hmm. How would you look at a deal for someone who's saying, hey, I might be looking at buying my first one. I want to get my feet wet. How do I make sure I don't make a big mistake and just lose my peace of mind?
Boy, that's a big question, and there are a lot of different answers to it. So I'm going to give you what I think is a really good answer. Start off by talking to people that you know that are already in the business. They can give you some warnings, give you some direction, all that. This doesn't mean like you got to go out and spend $25,000 to go hire a mentor. This means like you can go to these meetups that they have that are most of them are free. You can go to RIA meetings that are free. You can take Andrew out to lunch, maybe. We have a Friday lunch where everybody meets out every Friday. And you can start networking with other people that are already doing it, and that's going to significantly shorten your learning curve. I did it by myself. I started in 2002, man. I mean, think about this. There was no Craigslist, there was no Facebook, Gmail wasn't around. There were no meetups, there were no RIAs that I knew of. I mean, there was none of this stuff. And
how are you even here?
I did it with an Excel spreadsheet.
And to this day, what do you use?
Excel.
When I asked him, I said, wait a minute, you have 100 properties? I'm like pulling my hair out. Like we manage 100 for a bunch of different people. That's a full-time business.
No, well, maybe for you.
I mean, and so what software are you using? How do you track everything? He goes, I just do it in Excel. I was like, the whole thing? Or like you do that for like the 110-unit building? The whole thing's in Excel. Which what I took away from that is, hey, keep it simple, stupid. You don't have to overcomplicate it. This isn't rocket surgery. We're doing... Yeah, buy a house, people will rent it, you collect the money, you pay the mortgage.
Yeah, it also depends on what your goals are. Like if you're going to be like a professional property manager, which means you have a boss, then you're going to want to use something like Buildium or Appfolio or something like that, which is like a higher end property management software because you're going to need to provide your customers or clients with reports, their end of year statements, end of quarter statements. You're going to need to detail any money that went out for repairs or anything like that. I don't have to do that for my own stuff, so I'm good. So I don't need to.
And the people we're talking to, they're doing it for themselves. I don't think people are watching and saying, "Oh, I'm going to start a property management business and go do this for other people," when I don't have any idea what I even.
That's
doing
just
myself.
trading one job for another. So that's. I'm going to back up. Listen, when you start, like if you decide that you want to get into the rental business, Baltimore is a cash flow capital of the United States. If you can't make money here, you can't make it anywhere.
Say it again.
I know. Listen, you can listen to all the bad news, murder rate, syphilis rate, our drivers were terrible drivers, heroin, all that stuff. But all those people need a place to live, and I rent to them. Not the heroin people. Or the bad driver. Well, maybe.
Well, you can't say that.
Anyway.
You can't say that. We practice fair housing. Keep going.
Yeah, me too. So the how do I put this? I decided to focus in Baltimore because I grew up in Baltimore. And if you can't make money here in real estate, you can't make it anywhere. But there are risks in investing in rental properties, whether you're in Baltimore or Palm Beach. It doesn't matter. There are risks involved. And it's the same thing with the stock market. And if you want to talk about a scam, let's talk about the stock market for a while.
It's up pretty big.
Yeah, I don't care.
It's funny. I'm a finance guy. I always defend the stock market as something I've studied. And I got Warren here. He's done pretty well. He doesn't even buy real estate.
He's done well. But for the common man,
from a guy who's got 100 properties, what makes your property so much of a better bet, safer bet, superior bet, if you will, than the stock market?
Well, my net worth has gone up over 30 times in the last 15 years with just about nothing out of my pocket.
Nothing, no investment out of your pocket?
Very little, just in the beginning. I haven't spent any of my money in the last 10 years. That includes 18 unit, 15 unit, 14 unit, 13 unit, a 10 unit, a 7 unit, and a bunch of houses with no money out of my pocket.
All right, so this is a whole nother topic.
It is.
But that's very impressive, and that's why, he mentioned earlier there's a bunch of investing meetups. There's the Real Estate Association, RIA meetups. Mark is frequently asked to host these, speak at these, because he's a wealth of knowledge. So you heard he's 30x'd his net worth with no money out of his pocket. I'm intrigued. I'm going to leave that as a cliffhanger. Let's talk about some of the mistakes you've made, and then you're frequently asked this. Okay, can you mentor me? I'm trying to get going. You seem to be the guy in town who really knows what he's doing, well-respected, straight shooter, no BS kind of reputation you have. So how did you earn that reputation, and what mistakes have you made that you've learned and grew from?
The mistakes. So this is going to sound kind of cocky, but if you let me finish, then you'll understand. I haven't made any mistakes in real estate. Every decision that I made, there were several of them that I made that didn't work out the way that I wanted them to, but when I made the decision, I made the best decision based on the information that I had available at the time. So if I look at it like that, then I haven't made any mistakes. If somebody said to me, are you sure you want to rent to this person because he's been evicted from the last 3 places he's lived at, and then I rent to him anyway, that's a mistake. So I don't make mistakes like that. And when I do make mistakes, when things don't work out right, I'll learn from them and move on. But I haven't made any mistakes, because to me a mistake is when you make a decision and you already know in advance that it's not the best decision and you do it anyway. That's a mistake.
That's a dumb mistake.
Yeah, there are. So, and I don't want to talk about any specific examples that we might have talked about before.
Only because he's on camera. He'll give you really colorful language around these mistakes, like really good analogies, like an analogous. If you did this, that's a mistake. So we can have fun with those. But, okay, so I like that. That's kind of like you're looking at your failures as fertilizer almost, even if it didn't work out.
Yeah, you learn from stuff, things that don't work out right, you learn from them.
Yeah, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. It's a good mindset to have. Just
That's excellent.
Beat
That's
yourself
very good.
up all the time.
I'm going to say that from now on.
Take it.
Right. I'm not going to mention your name either. So what was the other thing, the mentoring thing?
People frequently ask you, you were referred to me by someone, and I said, hey, you're big in the investment community. Who else should I be talking to? Because I'm always trying to network and meet with like-minded people. And multiple people said, you got to talk to Mark Owens. And they say, he's mentored me, he's helped me out with this, this guy owns all these properties, he's very giving of his knowledge. And then when we got together, you actually bring people on a case-by-case basis to take them under your wing, and they can learn from your, whatever that is, 20 years plus of experience.
About 16, 17, 18, somewhere there.
17 years, hundreds of deals.
Not a lot. So so here's the things I want to add to that. as far as mentoring goes, like, you don't need a mentor. You can do this on your own. Here's the advantage that a mentor can give you, and I wish I had one. I wish I had me, is that it can, seriously, I mean, I wish I did. Because it can take you this long to learn how to do something on your own, or you can get help and it takes this long. And so all that extra amount of time that you get, you make a lot more money. And you learn from mistakes that your mentor never made so that you don't never make the same ones. Does that make sense? So
that's applicable to all walks of life.
Oh, it is. Oh, absolutely. Oh, it is absolutely in all walks of life.
Like, I had great mentors in real estate. It's not like I just showed up one day and said, I can sell everything. True. It's like someone said, don't do that. Slow down. This is exactly how it's done.
Well, slow down is important because some people just want to jump in and they just want to get by 10 units tomorrow, and I think that's a mistake. So I said focus on the first deal. As far as the mentoring goes, if you are going to find one, there are some things that you need to, questions that you're going to need to ask. You're going to want to interview them just like you're going to hire them because you are hiring them. How long they've been doing it? Have they survived? You know, have they been in it since the last run up when they were doing the liar loans and the stated income loans and all this other BS that led to the crash around 2008? Did they survive that, or did they get in after that? Because if they did, then they really don't have a full knowledge base of the whole market cycle. So how long have they been in it? Are they doing it full time? I mean, if the guy owns 30 units and he's still working a full time job somewhere and he's got property management, how much do they really know? So you want to find somebody that is where you want to be. If I'm not where you want to be, then I'm probably not going to be the guy that you want to talk to. But if you like where I'm at and you like how I got there, then maybe I am. Some things that I want to mention to you that are like some of the most important things. Time is your most valuable asset. I don't care how much money you got, you're only going to get 24 hours a day. You can go get the $15,000 watch. You're not going to get another minute out of an hour for that. Time is your most valuable asset. Something that ties that is your reputation is probably your second most valuable asset. If your reputation sucks, then you're going to have a really hard time in this business because it is a very network-oriented business. Everybody knows everybody. So if you're like a bad guy or you don't follow through with things or you're sloppy, like people are going to find out about it and people aren't going to want to do business with you. So one of the things that I say that I feel really grateful for is that if something happened and I lost everything I've got today, I would get it back in half the amount of time than it took the first time because of, well, one is my knowledge. The second thing, probably the most important thing to me, is really my reputation. Mm-hmm. My reputation is like, I protect that like above just about anything else because I can make phone calls and I can get money like that. I can stand out in front of a building and call a lender and say, I need $400,000 to buy this building. And they'll approve it on the phone, like right there, without even knowing the property address because of my reputation.
And you have a lot of assets.
Right, I do, but
you're that's a safe bet.
But even aside from that, just having a good reputation, doing what you say you're going to do, treat people decent, treat people good, treat people the way you want to be treated. And if you do borrow money from like a hard money lender, like, man, pay them on time. And what I did was like I would go to their office and say, hey, I'm here, here's my payment. And they wouldn't even know me. They're like, who are you? I'm like, I'm the guy that owes you like, $700,000. Here's my $7,000 interest check. And because I want them to know my face, so when I call there, they know who I am. We develop a relationship. Relationships are extremely important. Andrew, you want him to know who you are so that you're one of the first people he calls when that deal pops up. If he doesn't know you, he's not going to call you. And so you want to, and you also, with your relationship with Andrew, and I'm not trying to sell him, but I'm just, he's a great example. If you say, hey, Andrew, I want to go look at some houses, and then you don't show up, or you show up a half hour late, and you disrespect his time like that, when a good deal comes up, he's not going to, you're going to be the third or fourth or fifth one he calls. You're not going to be the first one. So
I'll probably never call you again. Fair warning. If you just stand me up, I'm going to say, okay, that was my mistake.
So that's why
I thought you were coming.
Treat people good. Treat people good in this business, and always do the right thing, and it's going to make your life a lot easier.
All right, good deal. I want you to close on one thing. When we were having breakfast, Broadway Diner is a great place, by the way. Dundalk, I guess it's by Home Depot.
I just went there yesterday and got French toast for dinner.
Phenomenal place, by the way. Cheap, huge menu. Broadway Diner. That's our sponsor for today's episode. We were talking about real estate investing, and you gave a little story about what someone told you one time, and this is what really got you going.
It helped. It helped.
And it's a physical representation of what a successful real estate investing life could lead to. Give them that little.
About 10 years ago, it was like the first wholesale deal I ever did where I made like, I think it was about $40,000 in 3 weeks, and I never did it. I was actually in this room that I'm in now longer than I was ever in that house that I owned, and I made 40 grand off it. Didn't do anything to it, nothing. And he's the one that kind of taught me how to do it. And he told me something that I'll never forget. He said that he used to be a handyman for another landlord, and he kind of learned the business just by observing the guy he was working for. And then he started wholesaling, and he made a ton of money. And he looked at me, and he said, when I wake up in the morning, I feel like I have a 5-gallon bucket of cash next to my bed, and if I want some money, I just reach in and grab a handful of it. And it's what he feels like every day when he wakes up. And I thought, man, I'd like to feel like that. I want a 5-gallon bucket full of cash next to my bed. Yeah. And that was one of the things that really inspired me.
Right.
And he doesn't even know that, but I haven't really seen him that many times since that one deal that we did. But that was one of those things that sometimes somebody says something to you and you never forget it, and that's the one thing he said that I'll never forget.
Well, I've really enjoyed our time at the breakfast, lunch, and then our ongoing talks. And if you want to have that feeling, or if you have the guts and the knowledge and the desire to go after this, Mark's around. He'll meet up with anybody who's got the guts and the knowledge and wants to take a next step. I'm always here to help. Mark, thanks so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome, Andrew. Yep, thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
Until next time. Mark, I know you're a busy man. You're probably going to go look at a few more good deals. As part of the show, you have to give us a little parting thought and, oh, by the way.
Oh, by the way. That sounds funny. Buy for cash flow. Don't buy for appreciation. Appreciation's for dummies. I know people are going to get really pissed off that I just said that, but I'm going to give you an example. People that were buying properties for appreciation in 2006, 2007, 2008, here we are 10, 11, 12 years later, many of them are still upside down. Appreciation isn't going to pay for your vacations. It's not going to pay for your turnovers. It's not going to pay for your new roof when you need it. You got to invest for cash flow. Take the cash flow. That's going to buy your groceries. That's going to pay for your vacations. That's going to pay for your turnovers. That's going to pay for the roof when you need it. Cash flow is king in this business. Appreciation is speculation. That's not investing. That's like guessing. So buy for cash flow. That's it.
Cash flow.